Oh boy.
But
Some
still, like,
difference.
why did you choose 10 weeks?
So yeah, the 10 weeks don't have
Yeah.
to do anything with the boxing.
Because
but it was
this was just an extra
yeah.
reason, right?
Yeah, it's an extra. It's an extra
yeah.
reason to even
Originally,
extend.
you was planning to do this already.
So actually, the 10-week
'Cause
thing.
10 weeks is long.
So the 10-week thing doesn't have to do anything with wanting to be sober or something. It's so as you know, I'm interested in all meditation related things. So it's this 10-week process. It's called the presence process, and in these 10 weeks, so what you do? How could I explain this? Well, I guess we have time, right? So
we have all the time.
we have all the time in the world.
You had to. What time did you have to go?
I don't really have.
Did you have something at 8:30?
No, yeah. Well, I would have a boxing class, but it's not because.
It's not scheduled.
No, it's not scheduled. So I'll do it next Friday. That was
Okay.
so.
We have time.
So the 10-week thing. It's so it's called the presence process, as I said, and it's about integrating unintegrated emotional charge. That probably
you really gotta explain.
I
that.
really gotta
have
explain
no
that.
fucking
Yeah.
clue what that means.
I guess so. As a kid, I guess from the age to like 1 to 7, we have experiences. So I'd say, like the first few years of your life, if you get mad or angry, there's no concepts, right? So you wouldn't be angry because your mother does something to you. You just feel anger, right? It's not because you're like, oh, my mother, she would be home at 3, but she's half an hour late. I'm angry at her. No, you're just angry. You just feel anger, and there's no story attached to your anger. Like as a baby, you just got you got born and you just feel emotions. And there's no concept. You don't even know what a person is as a baby, right? You only have
there's no explanation in your
like
brain.
The only experience you have is on almost like a vibrational level, right? You just feel emotions from your parents or people around you, but there's no like stories attached to this. So I guess the assumption is of this book is we never really take the time to integrate these emotions. So I'll come up with an example. Imagine you
because how do you integrate those emotions?
So I'll come to that.
Okay.
So imagine you have so imagine you have a girlfriend and
I imagine it all the time.
Yeah. So imagine you have a girlfriend and she'd be home at I don't know 1 a.m. right from a party, and
can my girlfriend be a porn star?
Yeah, she can be a porn star, whatever you want. She'd be home 1 a.m. from a party, right?
Yeah.
It's 1 a.m. She's still not there. You text her, she doesn't answer. 2 a.m. she's still not there. Or and you're like, fuck, you're feeling these things. She's at a party. What is she doing? Why isn't she answering her phone? What's happening? What's wrong here?
Yeah.
2:30 she's still not there. You cannot sleep because you're stressing about it. You try to let it go.
I've had that.
Yeah, you try to let it go, but you can't let it go. Like you fuck, where is she? Where the fuck is my girlfriend? And at 3 she comes and you're mad. You're angry at her, right? You're like, fuck, why didn't you? And she's just, I just forgot the time and.
Some bad reason.
Okay.
It's also like a good reason.
Yeah. So I guess you get mad at her and you feel all these emotions. And normally, what we do, or what I at least do, if there's this triggering event, like an external thing, which makes me feel certain things, you try to find a solution outside of yourself.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Now it's
So you try to talk to her about her behavior. You said like, hey, you did this, and I don't want you to do this. Or another way, actually, what you're trying to do, you're trying to manipulate emotion, right? So you feel anger, sadness, or grief. I guess these are all bad emotions you feel are based around these 3 emotions, right? Even like if you feel insecurity, it's a form of fear.
Okay.
For something. Yeah. Or like fear for the opinion of people. If you have to describe the feeling you have in your body, it's a feeling of fear.
Okay.
And we have different ways of trying to manipulate these feelings. We could either go do something else, so we don't have to think about it. we can try to change the external circumstances so we don't feel it, right? So instead of addressing the emotional things ourselves, you try to change the behavior of the other person. So instead of you're trying to fix your girlfriend and making her do something so you don't feel a certain thing, because that's like the thing which bothers you, right? It's the bad emotion.
It's a little bit the idea of the Buddhist thinking of like don't worry about things that aren't in your control.
Yeah, that's very like that's what it comes down to. Yeah. So another way of manipulating these emotions is taking substances, right? Is smoking weed, drinking alcohol. What you got like instructed to do in the book, instead of trying.
Oh wait, it's a book.
It's a book. It's
okay.
Sorry.
I didn't name that.
So it's the book is called The Process, and it's a 10-week process.
Oh.
And in the process, you, instead of trying to find the solutions outside of yourself, you try to find a solution within, right? So what you would do in the scenario, like let's do the girlfriend thing again. She's not home and you're stressing about it. The first, like your primal response thing is like, I want to text her, I'm calling her. What you would do in during this process, you lay down, and instead of getting mad at her, or you'd feel the emotion somewhere in your body. So you feel mad. So you feel mad, or you could, I guess, the two most common emotions in this situation. One is would be anger. You're angry at her for not saying anything. The other would be fear, right? Fear for what she's actually doing. So imagine you feel fear. You just lay down in your bed or wherever you are, and you feel the fear. And at some point you'll notice you start to think about it, and you stop the thinking, and you just focus on the fear, and you just give the fear space to be. It's the same as what you do. So imagine a kid comes to you. It's like a kid feels a strong emotion. It's a sad kid or an angry kid. What you would do, you would give the kid space to feel the emotion. You just hug it.
Yeah.
And like you wouldn't judge it for feeling an emotion. And that's what we very often do with ourselves, right? So you feel anger or fear, and you'd be like, oh no, I shouldn't be. I shouldn't be. I shouldn't be.
It's bad. It's bad that I feel fear, or
it's
like,
bad that I'm feeling this. And instead of judging the feeling, you
accept it.
You accept it and you embrace it. You give it unconditional attention, like you would give to a kid.
You don't walk away from it.
You don't walk away from it. And when you do this, you open up like Pandora's box, right? Like all the emotions you have been suppressing all your life, and which you normally would try to find the solutions of outside of yourself. You are not doing that anymore. You're just giving these emotions space to be there, and shit will come up. So people during this 10-week process, normally, it's very common that people feel terrible, right? A friend of mine, the last 8 weeks of the process, he cried every day.
Wow.
And he cries like 2 hours a day. It's like,
what?
And it's crying, and that's the funny thing. Very often it's crying without a reason, which I just told you about, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's when you're a 2-3-year-old kid, there's no reasons attached to why you're crying. You're just feeling an emotion. So actually you're just turning around a cause and effect. Normally we always think that the cause for our emotions are these external situations, these external circumstances, like things people do to us, things people say to us. Well, like what the book assumes is that it's the other way around, right? It's this emotion you have, this fearful thing you had as a kid, and there's no reason you feel that. It's just a vibrational thing, and things in your life will happen in such a way that these emotions will get triggered. That's why people get into destructive relationships over and over again. Or you notice, like, why does this keep happening to me, right? Like people say that.
I see it more as I see emotions always as kind of a natural sign of nature, of like, so for instance, let's take a girl in this example, of a sign of like, so if I started being fearful, it's just that, okay, I'm fearful, that means that there's somebody's doing behavior right now that is dangerous in some way, because I experience this bad as a negative thing, so it's probably naturally speaking a bad thing. So it's like, you know, because we made an appointment, there's something going on. It's like if you would be in a tribe and you would be like, okay, we're gonna go hunting, we're gonna split up in groups, we're gonna meet at that point at that time. You know, if you don't meet there at that time, you're gonna be scared. You're in a hunting group.
So do you think your view contradicts mine?
No.
Because I do think they go hand in hand.
Yeah, I mean with it more in a way of like, so the way I handle emotions, what I recognize in it is that I tend to really I don't judge my emotions by the circumstance. I judge it by a way of like how it's effective to me.
Mm.
So how can I interpret it in a way that can help me? So whenever I feel an emotion, I try to feel it in a way that is most practical.
Yeah.
Or use it in a way that's more practical. So if I'm gonna say like, all right, my girlfriend is late, I like to say to myself, I don't always do it, of course, in these type of situations whenever I feel a certain way, but I like to think of my emotion of like, okay, what is this a sign of, and how do I communicate that in an effective way? Because that's really what's about it.
Okay, so I think there's two things happening there. One is like, how can I communicate what I'm feeling? So that's nice, right? So your girlfriend does something you're not completely happy with, you can still talk to her about it, right? But there's a difference between talking to her about it and just like as like a behavioral thing, right? Like, hey, this is not very normal behavior, and talking to her about it with this emotional charge, right?
Yeah,
with
that's
like
true,
being angry, like actually being angry at her and getting into fights or something. That's according to this book would never is not the mature way to deal with your emotions.
You mean that you have to kind of wait, like accept your emotion, interpret it, wait it out till it's over, then kind of think about what's in that way, and then also communicate in a non-expecting way.
So exactly. So like the important thing about a communicating thing is the risk you take when you do that is you think that that's the way to fix the emotion. So do we agree on that? Like the problem in the situation is the emotion you feel, right? If you wouldn't feel fear or anger in the situation, you wouldn't have many problems with it, right? Or you'd still maybe say like, hey, this is not the best normal behavior, but it wouldn't be as problematic as when you feel a strong emotion attached to the. Would you agree?
Generally speaking, I would agree, because I feel like in a lot of ways, emotions are the reasons people don't do things. If it comes to your dreams, it's like your fears that are in the way, and you can argue like, but this is scary to do. It's an external thing. No, it's you. Like there's something in you. Like I feel like the way people interpret. You're sitting all right, man, because you're moving all the time. I don't know if you're sitting all right.
Yeah, I'm sitting all right.
But I feel like emotions are, generally speaking, I feel like most people use their emotions wrong. That's the way I would put it. That's definitely what it is. But I do agree with you the way that you interpret it. But how so continue with the...
Okay, so I think the most important thing is to realize that the fix for the emotional problems you experience are not out there, right? So there's this fun analogy I read in another book of this guy. He's called Michael Brown. He talks about his guy walking down the street, and he sees someone who is he's looking for something on the ground, and there's this big street light, and he's looking in he's trying to find something in the light, and he asks him like, hey, what are you looking for? He says, I'm trying to find my keys. He said, okay, can I help you searching for your keys? And he said, yeah, that'd be nice. So he's searching in on the ground with this guy, and at some point he asks him, hey, are you sure you dropped your keys right here? He said, no, I lost my keys inside of my house. So he asks him, okay, why are you looking here? And he says, yeah, because the lights are turned on here, right? And outside, inside, the lights are turned off. And what the analogy says is we're trying to find the key or to our emotional problems externally, right? Because that's where the lights are turned on for us. That's where we are used to try to find solutions
and see our problems.
Yeah. But the key is not there, right? The key is not there. The key can only be found internally. Is what the claim is. But you have to turn on the light, right? You have to. That's
scary.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of people. It sounds so weird to say, but have demons in their house.
Yeah, definitely.
But they don't see them. It's dark.
Definitely. So that's why I said a lot of people don't feel nice during this process, right?
Yeah, but that's a really good
Even like
process.
some people could come out of it and they experience the worst anxiety they've ever experienced in their life.
Yeah,
Right.
but how's it afterwards? Like,
So the author suggests to do 3 rounds.
oh really?
Um,
That many?
yeah, so you do. You don't have to do them after each other. So you can like
take a while.
you can like take a break. He says it has to be like a minimum of 3 weeks between the rounds, but you can take as long as you want. So if you want to take half a year off before you do another round, that's fine too.
But why would you do this? Like, do you feel like the need to do it?
So the funny thing is, so if I'd ask myself, do I have like I'm generally quite happy, right? I have a
Yeah, you seem like a happy
yeah,
person.
yeah. I have
You actually, the funny thing is, like, you seem like a person who's like kind of okay with his emotions. So
Yeah,
it's like
yeah,
it's funny to see that you actually do this.
maybe that's because I'm doing it,
Oh.
right? So because I have been interested in meditation and psychedelics, as you know, for quite a while, and I think this is like these things are important to live a happy life. So I don't think psychedelics are necessary to live a happy life. Definitely not. But I do think they can help if they're used in the right way. And this is just another tool to I don't know to do these kinds of things to improve yourself. Or I wouldn't even call it self-improvement. I guess like emotional maturity.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm quite happy with myself, like as I am, but I do think there is certain. So the scenario I just gave you with the girlfriend, right? So luckily I have a girlfriend who doesn't do that, and she doesn't come 2 hours late at night. She can come late during the day, so which is fine. But she can treat like in the book they're called messengers, right? It's something I don't completely believe, but I do think it's a good attitude to have towards triggering events. It's the belief that the things that happen in your life that trigger you are messengers, and they're sent. They're on purpose. They're sent by, and he calls it presence in his book, to give you the opportunity to integrate your emotional charge. So when something bad happens in your life, it's not just a coincidence that these things happen. These things happen on purpose. It's a setup to give you the opportunity to integrate.
I get it.
Okay, and
I get it, but it's, I don't know, it seems a little far-fetched.
Yeah. So the thing is, I don't really believe that. Or what I don't think it's really important if you believe it or not. So it's a good attitude to have. Mm-hmm. That's the important thing. If you, like during this process, see things in that way. So if something bad happens in my life, something triggering, I won't try to find the solution outside of myself. I'm like, okay, this is supposed to happen, and this is what will give me an opportunity.
It's a helpful thought.
Yeah, it's a helpful attitude. Yeah. So I guess this is in short what the 10 weeks are about. So twice a day you do some breathing exercise.
You have been doing it for how long now?
I started last Thursday.
Okay, last Thursday.
So it's quite
almost a week.
Huh?
Almost a week.
Yeah, almost a week. So
Did you cry?
The second day I cried. Yeah,
really?
Yeah, the second day.
Did you notice it that fast?
Well, I'm not even sure if there's because normally I don't cry very often. I must say, right? Like the last time I've cried has been quite a while. So I'm not even sure if there was a connection between the presence process and the crying, but there wasn't. Probably there is, because there wasn't really a triggering event. There wasn't one thing I was like, I'm mad about this. But yeah, the second day, that was the only day. I cried. And I'm very curious, and it's scary too, right?
Yeah.
Fuck, what's going to happen?
It's like being mindful of your negative emotions.
Yeah. That's what it is.
Yeah, but I don't really see negative emotions as negative. I don't see. I feel like it's a wrong way.
That's
the thing.
You change your attitude towards your emotion. One of the chapters is called from enemy to ally. Mm-hmm. Right. So just normally you'd see a negative emotion as an enemy. Yeah. And now you'd see it as an ally, like an opportunity to grow.
Yeah, because I feel like for instance, being angry can be used in a very good way.
Yeah.
Like I feel like anger is a thing that is very positively. Whenever you wanted to, that's my alarm. God damn it. Whenever you have like a very negative person against you, and you kind of have to defend yourself because you feel like that person is fucking with you, let's say, like maybe you have a boss, or maybe you have an employee that's not listening to you. There's a certain point where you should be mad.
Yeah.
There's definitely. I'm not the first time you feel anger.
Yeah.
You know, not the second time, not the third time.
Yeah, but would you call that? So I want to interrupt you here because
okay.
I think there's a difference between you can be very clear and hard, right? But you don't have to be, I guess, act on anger, right? I know that this is very common in like Buddhist communities. There's these teachers, right, who are perfectly fine with their emotions, but they can still be very strict, and they can be very clear on what they want you to do, right? So you can be like, okay, I'm not accepting that. This is not okay, without being angry at that person.
Well, I mean, like, that depends on how you, of course,
define anger.
Like I would say that anger is the energy.
Yeah.
You know, like the energy. You have a certain anger gives you a certain energy of like there needs to be change. That's kind of like an anger, and I feel like you can use it in a way of like I do not want this anymore.
Yeah.
You know,
which is fine.
Yeah, and especially when you're angry, you I don't know, you're way better in communicating that feeling. I feel like.
Yeah, but if you do that in a good way, you can just be, I guess, like be at peace with your anger, and at the same time do that.
Yeah, right? Yeah, exactly. Like flipping out.
Yeah.
You know, I sometimes have the tendency to flip out. Especially when it comes to my computer. I'm not good.
You want to throw it out of the window.
Yeah, really. If it doesn't work, it's really like it annoys the shit out of me.
I was really annoyed when I was cycling through the rain here. That was one thing. I felt strong annoyance. And the funny thing is, a friend of mine who does this process too, when we talk about emotions, it becomes a different thing. Yeah. It's all like what we do now almost. Like I said, like, oh, the rain annoys me so much. It's not what I said. I was like, oh yeah, like I felt this annoyance when I was cycling through the rain. It gets you change your attitude towards these emotions, right? It's like, hey, this is interesting. It's an emotion I felt in that situation, and I don't know. I think it's an attitude change.
Yeah. And so do you notice a little bit of a difference?
No, not yet.
Not yet. No. Oh.
So like very often people only like notice a difference in like week 7 or like even can take quite a while. For some people even after the process. For some people not at all, right? It doesn't work for everyone, but I'm definitely willing to
go for it.
To go for it, yeah.
Nice, man. Yeah, that's really nice.
So that's why, and that's the thing. So why am I being sober? All like substance use, I guess, creates layers between you and your emotions, right?